Coke crap? What? Why do I even start this thing up? Oh yeah, because it helps some people. That is why I do have a reason, all that good stuff. I hope y'all are having a good day, and if you're not having a good day, I'm sorry to hear that. Autumn, you've had a very low function day today. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I hope that you're doing what you can to take care of yourself for sure. And for those of you who haven't met Autumn yet, she was actually one of the panelists at PAX South on the diversity. What was the name of it? Intersectionality in technology and gaming, I think. The importance of intersectionality in technology and gaming, which was wonderful. I was looking forward to it all weekend. Um, got back from PAX South yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. I met some cool people and was able to attend a lot of the panels, which were really nice. You know, the exhibit hall and all the new games and everything, those are pretty cool. But what I was really looking forward to and what I got the most out of were the panels. So I took, I don't have my notebook over here. I took a crap ton of notes because that's how big of a nerd I am. For us, type faster, right? Ugh, if only I could. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. Yes, it was in San Antonio. Yeah, it was good. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We are going to talk about mental health today since it is Mental Health Monday. And I thought for today we would talk a little bit about resilience. And so I have, first of all, for everyone who's new here, who has not seen my little disclaimer, I am not a professional mental health worker. I can help you find resources in your area if you need to talk to a professional. If you are struggling with something, I am more than willing to look up resources in your state and help get you connected. That's about as far as it goes. I pick topics based on what I want to talk about and what my community tells me they want to talk about. I try to get input from others in the community. I also do my own research and I provide the sources in the Discord afterwards. So, too late suing. Oh boy. But I do not provide therapy in any way, shape, or form. We might talk about coping strategies, and I hope that that does help someone, but that is not the purpose of this stream. My purpose here is to be an advocate for mental health awareness and to make those conversations a little bit easier in a safe and welcoming space. So, Varys, how are you doing today? Slay, how are you doing? Slay, have you been to PAX South before? Ave, I hope you're doing wonderfully. Um, and then I will just jump right in if you guys are good with that. If y'all want to talk about anything else, just kind of let me know. But um, I may have found out my issues, but I don't remember the name for it. The thing that you went to the doctor for? Is that what you're talking about? I'm actually really impressed by your captioning system. It's pretty accurate and really fast. I love web captioner. My only complaint. Autumn, it is really easy to set up too. If anybody is interested in that, we have some hard of hearing folks in the community, and so this is specifically for them. But it's really easy to set up. It's through web captioner. I think it's .com. Yes, webcaptioner.com is the website. You just pop it out into another window, but you have to do it through Google Chrome. And when I was streaming from my laptop, that sometimes caused a problem. But with the new PC, everything seems to be fine. So it's all good. But yeah, I like it. And plus, at the end, you can download a transcript of your entire stream, which, you know, then you can do the control all and see how many freaking words you just said. And it's usually a lot. Hey, Snow, how are you doing? How are you healing, by the way? I once planned a trip to PAX South, never went through though. Yeah, that's okay. I really enjoyed it. This was my first gaming convention. It was a lot of fun. Um, and I will definitely be going back. I don't think that I can make it out to California for any of the ones out there. I think that's a little expensive, but I just drove to San Antonio, so that's okay. Oh, Vay, you're about the same as usual. Well, I'm glad you're here. Fiona! It's usually a lot. Girl, you know it is. I've been able to drink this week, so it's been wonderful. Don't drink too much, though. Don't drink too much. I did drive to San Antonio, yeah. It wasn't too bad. I mean, it only takes like 4 hours to get there, so it wasn't bad. Especially when I went at night. It was a lot easier of a drive than coming back during the day. Less traffic. California's expensive, can confirm, right? You know what I mean? Well, but even just getting there would be more expensive, you know? Can't handle more than a couple hours without one in a car without flying into space. Well, I understand that. But yeah, Autumn, the captioner, it's really easy to set up. You just set it up as a window caption, and it's pretty easy in OBS. So it's 3 hours from where I live in Houston. I didn't realize you may have said that you were in Houston on that panel, but I sometimes my brain just doesn't register everything. But yeah, California wants to tax people for sending text messages now. Wait a minute. How could they even do that? Like, what if someone is not in California, they send a text to someone in California? Now they're a Texas club member to recruit into the club now. We do have a lot of Texas folks in here. That's good. I'm not going to play DBD right now. We're going to go through and do the mental health Monday topic first, Ferris. But then we'll see. We'll see where we land on that. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Uh, As always, you guys are more than welcome to weigh in if you have your own experiences, something you want to bring up, a point that you agree or disagree with. This is a good conversation, so if you are comfortable, feel free to share. If you don't want to share, I am not going to force you to. While I may call on somebody like Fee or somebody like Laws, that's because I asked them to weigh in on on the topic, and so if they're willing to talk about anything that they brought up specifically, then I might call on them. But I won't call anybody else out. So if you want to weigh in, you are free to. Don't feel like I'm preventing you from doing so just because I don't call on you or something like that. DBD is mental health, how to run from your fears. Oh God, that's funny. Okay, yeah, I did ask Fee if I was able to call you out, and you said, of course, anything, anything. All right, Snow, I'm telling you, don't drink too much. So talking about mental health and resilience is really kind of talking about a positive state and that positive state's ability to endure and kind of in an inner strength way. Um, Resilience, all right, so those who don't know, I work for an AEC company, architecture, engineering, and construction. Resilience in engineering is the ability of a physical material to withhold external stress. And while mental health can be subjective based on the perception, your own perception of things like happiness or quality of life or general well-being, resilience is more about your hardiness, your flexibility, that inner strength, like I said, and the ability to handle that stress and adversity and come through to the other side as a still whole and sometimes even stronger person. And just kind of a side note, well-being is made up of a lot of different things that can sometimes mean something really different from person to person. So that can include differences in your purpose in life, differences in your autonomy, your personal growth, your mastery of your environment around you, as well as positive relationships with others. We talked about those social connections before, and that is part of resilience. We'll get into that in a little bit too, and self acceptance. And those can all specifically relate to resilience, but taken as a whole, that's really what makes up resilience. And resilience plays a huge role in mental health, well-being as well. I don't think I mentioned this before, but if you are interested in any of the sources that I use, I do post them to Discord afterwards. Be sure you're in the Discord, and I will just post them as sources and kind of give you, here's where I got a graphic from, here's where I got definitions from. In this one, I have a here's where I got all the sciencey bits from because I do get into some science in a little bit. Resilience is a double-edged sword for me, for sure. And I am going to talk about that here in a little bit too. But if you want to share how it's a double-edged sword for you, please, please do. But it makes you take reduced damage. Oh my gosh, I love it. So, resilience isn't something that you're always aware of or that you always need to pay attention to necessarily. Oops. It comes up more after major events in your life. And I'm talking, you lose your job, you get divorced, you lose somebody that you love, somebody that you're close to. That's when that resilience comes into play. But to take Varys's reduced damage and spin with it, resilience is something that you can level up even whenever you're not relying on it. And it's something that if you can dedicate the time and effort to it when you aren't in a specific need of it, uh, it can really help you in those times of need. So while you're on your path to max resilience, right? We'll keep it gaming here. You can experience a lot of pain and struggle even in that, which is where your resilience is actually being tested without you having to rely on it. So that's a good thing. Even something as simple as learning to ride a bike means that you're probably going to fall. You're probably going to have some setbacks. You're probably going to want to throw the thing across the sidewalk and say, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. You're going to have scraped knees. You're going to have bruises. But then once you get that bike riding skill, you can increase your confidence. You have a new level a new level of autonomy as well, because then you can just get on your bike and go somewhere, right? So it's one of those things that you oh, that's a good point, Fee. Oh, thank you. Yes, absolutely. You still fall on a bike even when you're good at it. So, okay, can I just stop for a second because that is a really good point. Even if you are an excellent bike rider, you could still fall. You could still get seriously injured. I have a good friend who I work with, and she was a serious biker. She would do all of I don't know what they're called. What's it like a marathon for biking? I don't remember. I think there's a term. And she would go out riding almost every day. She would ride miles and miles on weekends. She'd been to all kinds of exotic places specifically to bike on the trails. A pack of cycles, right? Uh, Century rides, maybe that's what it's called. Um, but she still has accidents, and actually, she had a very serious accident that put her in the hospital. So it's not like you're going to get this new skill and nothing's ever going to touch you again, because that's not how mental health works. It's not how life works in general. Any skill that you gain is still going to be tested on a constant basis. So it's something that once you understand how it fits into your life, how it fits into your mental health, then you're more willing to, okay, I'm going to take this bump and it's going to be okay because I know that this is important to me. And so I'm going to take this little setback and I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm not going to let it make me throw that bike across the sidewalk. So when you work on your resilience, you can increase your self esteem and your problem solving abilities. Plus, you improve your ability to handle stressful situations in the future. And those are the kinds of situations that you want to have that resilience in. So, I did a lot of research on this, and I'm going to go through some strategies to increase your own resilience. And then, if we get to hearing your stories, if you want to talk about them on the way, if you have something to add, like Fee's point right there, just set me off on a tangent. You're welcome to do so, and I do encourage that if you'd like. Um, so I've got those, how your resilience can be increased or decreased. If you have anything to bring up, please do if you're comfortable sharing. One more disclaimer. Hang on, here we go. Let me do it again. Before we get into the researchy part, because that's what makes me sound like a know-it-all, right? Is the researchy part. I'm not a pro. What you as an individual should work on to improve resilience will vary. It might not be exactly what I say. It might not be anything that I say. And if you need to talk to somebody about the specifics, I can do as much as help you find those resources in your state. And I am here with a Varys is gonna sue me. For show. I already hired a lawyer to sue. It's too late. It's okay. I know. You're in a place of love, Varys. It's okay. It's all right. Um, so improvement areas to increasing resilience can range from a cognitive skill to an emotional skill, and they could include things like active listening, or it could be something like pursuing a new or rediscovered hobby. And I'll use gaming as an example for that, which is one of the things that I used in the past couple of years to increase that resilience and to really use that resilience or that gaming as a coping strategy to increase resilience and kind of have it go hand in hand a lot of the time, as resilience and coping strategies a lot of the time do. Okay, so there's lots of factors that can impact resilience. Actually, hang on, I have a little graphic. Let me get that pulled up. Open. Hang on. I swear I have it. Here we go. Okay. So this talks about, or this graphic shows a little bit of some of the factors with resilience versus the factors of the challenge, and how that is a little bit of a balancing act with your well-being. So that resilience, it could be physical, psychological, cognitive, social, economic. The challenges could be the same exact things, but in different ways. And so the point of resilience is to balance those challenges out so that your well-being, which is there in the center, is something that endures and something that you carry forward as this whole thing continues to evolve. So some of those interpersonal factors, let me go back to this one. I wasn't a big fan of that graphic. That usually I have a better one, but it's what I found today. A lot of the other ones were, I don't know, not great like I usually try to find. That's okay. So some of those factors that, they talk about being interpersonal factors or environmental factors. So the interpersonal ones can include things like your emotional regulation skills, and these could be positive factors, things that increase your resilience, or things that decrease your resilience. Either way, there's always going to be something that puts pressure to go positive or negative. I feel like it's less of the they talk about if you're sitting, or what is it, an object in motion tends to stay in motion, an object that's still tends to stay still. I feel like with resilience, it's not that. I feel like with resilience, there's always something pushing this way, and there's always something pushing this way, and you just kind of want to have it push and move it up as you go. So those personal factors include emotional regulation skills. They can include positive affectivity, perceived competence, and empowerment. That is a big one, because if you perceive yourself as competent, if you perceive yourself as empowered, then that is something that you're going to be positive about. Your mindset is going to be better. If you perceive yourself as incompetent, that imposter syndrome comes in. If you perceive yourself as unempowered, not empowered, however you say that, less empowered, depowered, weak, thank you. I'm weak. What's wrong with that? And especially if that's a societal pressure, then you're going to face those struggles a lot differently than somebody who feels empowered. Disempowered, thank you, Autumn. I think that might be right. For me, resilience versus challenges and how my resilience allows me to respond to challenges is also time based. Yes, if I have been resilient for a long time, the balance can get hella off when new challenges come in because I because I need the time to rebuild my resilience. Okay, that is a really good point, because, and this is one of the things that my sister brought up whenever I asked her about it. She talked about the tip of the iceberg, where if you get into a place where you've been, you know, resilient, you've got it in your head, you're dealing with everything, you've got everything, you feel like you have everything up in the air, that resilience is still just a coping strategy. It's not necessarily something that you are dealing with the underlying issues. You still need to do that. And if your resilience is, you think of it like a health bar, okay? If your resilience health bar has been taking hits and taking hits, and then all of a sudden it's something that one more thing happens, and you've been relying on that resilience, it can really just be that one point, that straw that broke the camel's back. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind. Thank you, Fee, for bringing that up. I appreciate it. My light level is low? Wait a minute. So continue with those interpersonal factors: stress management, problem solving, coping, social skills. We talked about social connections really recently on another stream, and it's one of those. Hang on. Oh, and I didn't turn off my captioner, so even though I turned off my mic, there you go. Oops. I got to figure out how to do a button to push for that. That's okay. Increases strength, lowers attack. Not fighting. Not fighting. They were just, one of them said his stomach was hurting, so that's all. Okay, so we talked about the social skills and the and the the fact that you guys are cracking me up. $20 says she'll run out of wine soon. Not a chance. Although I've just got water right now, so I'm really not going to run out anytime soon then. Unfair advantage. Come on, you know how much wine I have, please. So we talked about the social we talked about the social skills and or not social skills, the social connections and how important those really are, and that the important part is not having social skills, it's feeling a social connection to another person, and that doesn't have to be both ways. You can feel a social connection to someone when they don't feel a social connection to you, but as long as you believe that it's there, you can still reap all of those benefits from it. Control and self-efficacy is another one. Perception of the future, identity, positive temperament, personality, religiosity. And what I say when I'm talking spirituality and all of that kind of stuff, what I really mean is not have you found God? Do you believe in Jesus? Whatever it is. It's more, do you feel like you have a purpose in life, or do you feel like you're just here? And even if you don't believe in a higher power, you can still have a purpose in life without being religious. So I really probably should have put um, that life purpose piece on there instead of religiosity. So apologies for that. Not saying you need to be religious, just saying that you need to do what you can to try to understand what you feel like is your purpose in life. I'm not a relative, and I'd still take that bet. Mm-hmm. 42nd child right there. Current perception of the future, meh, and I feel like I'm just here without a purpose. And that's okay. If you don't feel like you have a purpose right now, part of that is as you increase your mental well being, as you increase the whole of your mental health, that's something that can come more into focus. And the strategies for that are quite different. And maybe that's something that we need to talk about. That we need to talk about as well, kind of just the purpose in life and how do you find that? What are some strategies to help you find that? So, pardon me, I'll try to remember to um, put that onto my Trello board so I can do that in a future talk too. So continuing on down this list, cognitive skills, intelligence, obviously not the ability to speak, neurobiology, which is stressor response, and then genetic predisposition. So on top of all of those, on top of all of those interpersonal factors, those are all things that you control. And I say control because there are lots of different things you could be living with in your mental state that impact your ability to improve each of those factors. And at the same time, there are almost always, not always, but almost always, ways that you can improve each one of those as well. So your environmental factors are actually a little harder to change, and they do have a good impact as well. And those can be your school environment, your work environment, your neighborhood cohesion, how well all of your neighbors come together as a community, support programs offered in your community, healthcare and access to healthcare. And I don't just mean like go to the doctor for a cold. I mean all aspects of healthcare that everyone should have access to. family and peers support, how supportive they are. You cannot control how supportive somebody else is. All you can do is be open with them to the extent that you're comfortable. And if they support you, you're more likely to be more resilient. If they do not, you are less likely to be. Adult mentoring, um, even as adults. Uh-oh, show me your nails. I haven't posted about them yet. They're actually a week old. I need to finish. I need to do them again, but I was gone. So I just did little doodles on them this week. And there's that one, sort of. Thank you. I'm glad you like them. uh, and then good infrastructure. And also, that good infrastructure can include the ability to get to those other environmental factors. Can you get to school? Can you get to work? Can you get to the support programs that are in place? Can you get to healthcare? All of those are some really important things to consider. And if you have a chance to improve your access to those environmental factors, that is something that can naturally increase your resilience as well. So, all of that being said, um, that's just talking about what makes up resilience. That's not even any sort of strategy to increase your resilience. How do you get back up to that max level resilience? Seek out and hold close those who support you without draining themselves. Yes, absolutely. Yes. And your ability to reach out and give as well as take can be greatly impacted by what you are living with in your mental state. So I'll just say that and kind of leave it there. Um, but know that I recognize that is not always an easy thing to do. I recognize that it's not always an easy thing to be asked to do. So if you have the ability to reach out and find people who do support you, I highly encourage you to do that. How to bounce back from meeting and becoming close to people who end up not being able to support you like they said they wanted to. That's a really difficult one as well. And we touched on that one a little bit in those social connections and how they you reach out to somebody, you make a social connection, and then you don't get out of it what you expect to get. We talked about those expectations. Varys. We talked about those expectations and how to try not to set yourself up for failure, but you can't always help it. You know what I mean? So, shameless plug time. You know what? If y'all want to plug yourselves, if you've got a Twitch channel and you want to drop your link, go ahead. This is an open space for you to share that as well. So, um, but yeah, it's one of those things that if you have these expectations and it's your only source of whatever it is that you're reaching out for, that can make it really difficult to be resilient because as you take that hit of them not being able to support you, it also takes a hit on your resilience bar and it knocks it down a little bit more. So depending on where you're at with that resilience, it just depends. I want to start one where I stream queer games and talk about queer stuff. Not sure when that'll happen. You know what? When it does, please share that with us. I think that sounds fantastic. Okay, so some strategies to improve. So I touched on this a little bit already, but the environmental mastery, how do you improve your environment around you when it is things like, do you have access to school? Do you have access to work? Do you have access to healthcare? Do you have a support system in place? And so, kind of trying to find a way that you can manage and overcome that. If you can manage it where that increases your access, that's wonderful. If you can't, then how do you overcome it even if it's less than ideal? And I will say that for a lot of these support programs, these support systems, support communities, mentoring, those kinds of things, and even to an extent healthcare, but not really because you can only do so much over the web as far as healthcare. A lot of those are available online. You can join a Discord, you can join all kinds of different communities. There are AA programs online, there are Al Anon programs online. There's lots and lots of different things that you can find online that you wouldn't think to even look for. Mentoring. Did it say that? I can endorse Envy Plays Games as a fellow non binary person who has a format format somewhat like what I'm aiming for. Okay, I'll definitely check them out. And if you want to, can you do me a favor and just drop a link for me, or tweet their info at me so that I don't forget. I forget things afterwards. It's a thing. I don't think it said that. I think Frost just wants to tour him in. That's entirely possible. Internet healthcare equals WebMD. Breaking the bad news: you have cancer. Okay, no. When I say healthcare online, I do not mean WebMD. Let's be real clear. What I mean is that there are a couple of programs where you can, like with your phone, your smartphone, which almost everyone has, you can talk to a doctor and say, these are the things that I'm experiencing. They could say, okay, go to this lab, it's close to you. Or, okay, go pick up this prescription because I know what it is based on what you just told me. So then you don't even have to go into a doctor's office, which exposes you to other sick people if you're a little bit paranoid like I am. So those are just a couple of things about environmental mastery that you can look to improve. Try to find ways, think a little bit outside of the box to try to find those ways. And then she's not wrong. I don't doubt it, Varys. I don't doubt it. So the interpersonal mastery is how do you make use of your already existing strengths, your already existing talents, and your already existing potential. And so that can be finding ways to deepen the connection you have in ties with other people in your life. Um, that could be a partner, that could be a spouse, that could be even just a bestie. How do you deepen that social connection with someone and have them be more of an advocate for you as you deepen that connection? It could be deepening the connection, I'm sorry, living more in accord with your own personal convictions. Maybe you work for a company uh, that doesn't let you be yourself. Autumn, I can't remember how you put it in that panel. Bring your whole self to work. If you work for a company that doesn't let you bring your whole self to work, it's one of those things. Don't just quit your job over it. Find something different and then give your notice and go and do that. Bring your whole self to work. Yes, I love that. I think that's great. How do you, so living, so that would help you live more in accord with your own personal convictions. That could also include cutting toxic people out of your life who maybe they aren't in line. Maybe they don't help you be a better person. Wait, hold the phone. Varys, you have a boyfriend? Oh, you, you little sneak. You are a little sneak. I was like, how did you not share this news with me? Moving on. Finding time to go grocery shopping when there are not too many people. That is true. That is another one. That helps a lot of people with a social anxiety. Finding an off time to go and do something. Um, that's a big thing. If you can find a way to do something where it won't grate on whatever mental health challenge you're living with, that's always better. And if that supports your personal convictions, that's even better, and it will increase your resilience as well. So understanding and accepting yourself as a person, including knowing your limitations and still accepting those, which ties into what Laz just said as well. In that, if you know that if you go into a place with a whole bunch of people, that your anxiety is going to rise and rise and rise. And you also know that, well, or I could just go shop at 11 p.m. when there aren't that many people there. That's one of those things that then at least your resilience is not taking that hit. Check your Discord. All right, hang on. Oh, you can post links in my stream. Snow, go right ahead. So, Snow shared something that says being called weird is like being called limited edition. It means you're something people don't see that often. Remember that. I love that. That's awesome. That's great. It's silly, but having a soft thing. Okay, soft things are awesome. Like, did you, I don't remember. Did you touch the blanket last time you were here? I have this super soft blanket. I'm knocking things over when I try to get it, so I'm not going to do that right now. But yeah, I have I have soft things too. So that's not silly to me. I think it's great. And if it helps you, I think that's wonderful. And I think that, if you can do something and or even having something kind of spiky where if you roll it between your hands, it gives you tactile that tactile feedback. That can be really important for a lot of different reasons. Comfortable, smooth clothes. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many shirts I don't wear anymore because there's one part of it that irritates me all day. And by the end of the day, without even realizing that it's the article of clothing, I can be max level. Like I'm done with this day. And then as soon as I get home and change clothes into my just home clothes, I'm like, oh my God, all of that irritation was literally just what I was wearing. And it wasn't that I was self conscious about how I felt. It wasn't that I was worried about, that I felt it irritating me. It's just that it was bothering me and I had pushed it aside and discounted it. And then all of a sudden, I realized that, oh my gosh, I was so irritated. And maybe I snapped at this other person. And if I just hadn't worn this shirt, it might not have happened. We went to the post office when the only the self-serve was open, stopped by our favorite brewery early when less people would be there. See, that's great. I think that's wonderful. Yes, smooth clothes are incredible. The creation of Walmart grocery pickup and Brookshire's Brothers grocery delivery is making my life easier when it comes to that. So we have been. Um, what is a pocket owl? Can you please post a picture of your pocket owl because I want to know what that is. Just put it in Discord. Like, what is a pocket owl? Now I have to know. Is this like a worry stone, but a soft thing you can put in your pocket? That could be so many things coming from you. Honestly, it really could. She's right. But yeah, Slay, we've been doing the Walmart delivery, and would, not necessarily because I don't want to be around people, but mostly just because it's a convenience. But if that is something that helps you, then absolutely use it. Like use that tool in your arsenal. Ah, soft pocket thing. Gotcha. So knowing your own limitations is one of those strategies that you can work on to help increase I'll say knowing your limitations and also still accepting yourself as a person. Um, and then another strategy is to try to find a way to increase the feeling that your life has meaning, purpose, and direction. And Fee, I think you're right. I think we need to go into that one in more detail at a future date because it can be really hard, especially with things like depression, to feel like your life has meaning, to feel like you have a direction in general. And so finding a way to increase that feeling can definitely increase your resilience as well. I will I will make a note of that or add a card on Trello to talk about that in particular. I think that's a really good point. So based on those risk factors, the promotive factors and the outcomes of your past experiences with resilience, your past experience with well being, your past experience with a mental health challenge, you might be more likely to naturally follow one of three response models. There's a compensatory response model, a protective response model, and an inoculation response model. All of those sound super sciencey, so I'm actually just going to leave them in the sources list that I post in Discord later because while I find it super interesting, like I think that figuring out whether, okay, so you experienced this in the past, you are automatically more likely to go down this path of a resilience response model. And here's what you can do if that's not a good path for you to go down. Here's what you can do to help it. But it's based on this really sciencey study. So I'll I'll put a link for it. I'm interested in a layman's too long didn't read of what those mean. So, all right. Basically, you have promotive factors, you have risk factors, and you have the outcome Um, and your risk factors are current risk factors or previous risk factors, right? Because you have what you've experienced before is kind of the previous risk factor. What you're experiencing now is the actual risk factor. The protective model of response to get to a certain outcome is to reduce the negative effects of your risk factors no matter what it does to the outcome. If you have a compensatory response, um, then your outcome is more likely to be an additive. You take what happened in the past and build on it, where the protective model is you take what happened to the past and react to it, like it was whatever happened in the past. So you're absolutely 100% protecting yourself. The compensatory model, you're saying, okay, here's what it did to me before. Here's what I can do to improve that outcome this time. And then the inoculation model is kind of where you haven't had very many risk factors in the past. Maybe you don't have very many risk factors now. And so what you're not necessarily prepared for, you're not necessarily um, you're not necessarily going to react at all to the risk factors that present, which then mean that in the future, you're more likely to go into that protective model of this is what happened last time. It's all I'm going to pay attention to. Here's how I need to react right now. And if you're doing that compensatory model, it's here's what's happened to me in the past. Here's what's happening now. I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it over this way. So that's, I don't know that I'm explaining that super well. um, but I love that kind of stuff. So I will put that in, it is in my sources. It's a sciencey explanation, so you can read all about it there if you would like. Part of what I also want to bring up, and this is thanks to Fee and to Laws for helping me not just focus on kind of strategies, but also talking about the downside of resilience, where in your state of mind that you should improve your resilience, which is what we're talking about, getting to that max level resilience, right? But then you take on too much to handle. And this could be actual tasks or favors for other people. It could be mentally engaging in too much at once in an effort to get to that max level faster. You know, you could be like, okay, I'm going to do all of these things right here because that's what I have talked about doing and that's what I need to do. When really you need to do like two things, maybe at a time, and then build on it slowly because that mentally engaging in too much actually opens you up on the backside to be less resilient in the short term. And I fall into this trap a lot. Just because I can do something, just because I can read 5 books at once, doesn't mean I should. And it really doesn't mean I'm going to get there any faster. And it doesn't mean that it's healthy to do so either. So, one resilience factor that I have developed in the past is learning to say no, when to say no, why to say no, how to say no, and who to say no to. And all of that rolls back up into that resilience part. This comes in for me a lot at work because when you talk about saying no at work as a woman in a male driven field, there is a perception that if I say no, it's because I'm a mother, it's because I'm a woman, it's because I'm in a man's world kind of thing. And if you can learn to say no in the right way, and the way that I have, if you can learn to say no in the right way that works for you in whatever your situation is, uh, work, people at home, family, friends, exactly, Fee. Yes, it's either you're being a bitch or uh, yeah, the reactions are terrible when a woman says no, especially in the architecture, engineering, construction industry. And so one of the ways that I do this, and this is not going to work for everybody, it's not going to work in every situation, but what I'll say is somebody will say, hey, can you do this one more project? And I already know that my project cup is full, right? And if I add one more thing to it, like everything's going to start splashing out and some of the projects aren't going to get the attention that they deserve. Hey, can you do this one more thing? I'll say, yes, but I can get to it in 2 weeks. And they'll either say, oh, I really need it done now. I'll say, okay, I can do it. You need to find someone else to pick up this project. Like, this is what is at risk if I have to pick up one more thing. So I will hand this over to you to find someone to do it. Uh, there are still instances where, you know, somebody will be like, okay, no, this is really a must win. And then you have to find a way to do it. But honestly, then the rest of it really does not work out very well. What branch of engineering are you in? So we do a lot of different stuff. We're a global company, very large. I'm not going to say what company, but I am a sales operations manager working mostly with the federal government. So they do a lot of what we do is architecture and engineering, and then we have a lot of civil works folks as well, environmental, all kinds of stuff. And so you can do something similar with your family, like, hey, well, I was gonna say, could you bring deviled eggs, but I always say yes to that. If somebody says, well, I was gonna say hosting, but I'm always willing to host. All right, so let's say I wasn't willing to host for whatever reason. House is a mess, whatever it is. So he says, hey, could you host Christmas? Number one, Christmas is one of my least favorite holidays. But I do like to have everybody over. But if I couldn't for some reason, and they, say it was my grandma that called. It's a bad example. I can't say no to her. Dang it, this is not working out as well as I hoped. All right, grandma calls me. She says, hey, could you please host Christmas at your house this year? And I can't. Aha! Ha! My sister calls me. Hey, I was supposed to host. Can you host? And it's like the day before. And I say, uh, no, I really can't. No, but then, wait, but then I would just tell you why. Like, okay, so that's another option. Let's talk about that for a second. Hold up, hold up. At work, it's one thing. But I do really feel like if I had a relative call, I would just tell them, like, dude, that is going to put my anxiety levels at 1,000. And I don't need them to be at 1,000. And not everyone, but most of my family is really supportive of most things. And so I feel like they would react pretty well, but maybe your family won't. And that's one of those things where you have to know yourself in order to provide that feedback to them. And you also have to know them a little bit. Because if my sister called and said, her birthday's tomorrow, by the way, if my sister called and said, can I have a birthday party at your house tomorrow? And I would say yes, though. I'm a sucker, is what I'm discovering. I'm a sucker for people that I know and love. I'm trying to be more real to people asking me to do stuff too. Yeah. Trying to be more real because if you can just say, my anxiety levels are too high today, or look, I'm having a really dark day. We've talked about that before, just dark days. I couldn't say that to my kids, but I could say it to my husband if I wanted. Um, and I think he would understand. I'm afraid I can't, but here's something I can do. Absolutely. And that's a little bit different than what I do at work with the yes, I can do that in 2 weeks kind of thing. Or yes, I can get to that next Wednesday. Um, that's more of that's a firmer no than I would use at my workplace. But I think that would work really well with people that I know on a personal level if they are asking me to host a birthday party at my house that I don't want to host. I'm afraid I can't, but here's something I can do. I like that a lot. Thank you, Autumn. I appreciate that. Um, and then Fee, you brought up um, something that says I can take the whole weight of this, so I will take the whole weight of this. I think that's really important to talk about as well. It's one of those, I was talking about like I can do all of these things to improve my resilience, but should I do them all at once? Probably not. So this taking on the weight of the world kind of thing, which as a parent I do for my kids a lot. Like I worry. I was talking about this with my husband just a little bit ago. or maybe yesterday. I don't remember. But just the fact that I worry all the time about them and about how they're doing, how they will do, all those kinds of things. Hey, Firefang. Hey, Joe. How are you doing? Hope y'all are doing well. I hope you don't hate the changes to the barn. Oh, God. I'll have to get on later and see. I would absolutely do that for you, but I don't want to. I like that too. That's pretty good. Thanks for that, Biddy Fire. I appreciate it. How are you doing today? Um, so yeah, it's one of those things. If you can also reach out to other people, and like if somebody called me and asked me to do something and I needed to reach out to somebody, I have a few people, not a lot, that I could call up and say, "Hey, I need some support. I need some help." And it's recognizing that you can just pick up the phone and talk to those people and not being afraid and holding it all on yourself. Say, look, I need to talk this through. Or, call your therapist if you've got a therapist, or if you don't, find one, a good one that is willing to help you and be there for you. I know I send emails to my therapist all the time, like, oh my God, you're not gonna believe what happened today. Here's what I wanted to do. Here's why I didn't do it. Can we please talk about this next time? And she knows that she doesn't even have to respond, although she does respond. But it's like I just need to get it out. A lot of the time I just need to get it out. And so it's one of those things that I definitely try to take on the whole weight of everything when I know that I shouldn't. And then I am working on within myself saying, okay, I don't need to take up everything on myself. Just because something needs to change doesn't mean that I need to be the one to force it to change. That's actually something that I'm struggling with a lot right now. That whole here's people's expectations of me, but that's what they are. They're their expectations. And if they expect something to change, they need to be willing to change something as well. So not trying not to take on the weight of, all right, something's got to give, but you don't have to always be the one to give. In the workplace, thank you for thinking of me for this. I was planning to work on X, Y, and Z, but I'll leave it up to you how you'd like to be prioritized. Absolutely. That's an excellent way to put it also. I'm so resilient that I can and will take on everything at the expense of myself. Yes. And that's another of those knowing your limitations. If you can be sure that you know your limitations and accept yourself for those limitations and with those limitations, anyway, it's one of those things that if you can do that, and it is something that is hard to do, um, you can really improve your resilience for sure. And we talked about that tip of the iceberg, and if you are not saying no enough, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, can I have a birthday party at your house tomorrow? And I flip my shit on my sister for asking a question and not even without even trying to say, okay, why, what happened, what can I do? I can't do that, but here's what I can do. I just totally snap, pop, done, right? From an from her perspective, she's like, whoa, I just asked you a fucking question, all right? You can say no. It's fine. Say no, whatever. But there's that buildup. You see this little bit of the iceberg, but then underneath the surface, there's all this other stuff, right? That has nothing to do with that very tip top that's poking out. And sometimes you don't know for yourself when you're about to have that little tip of the iceberg just pop right off. And you don't know what's under the surface for somebody else. So if somebody else explodes at you over what you think is kind of a simple question, it's a really good opportunity to say, hey, I know that my request or my question or my conversation wasn't super intense, and your reaction was really intense. Is there something going on that I can help you with? Just that wine water, yes. See, I don't always see the stay healthy bot, but when you guys say it, I see it. I have been drinking my water. I swear I have. I'm like halfway done with this cup of water. But if you see somebody who all of a sudden they just exploded at you for no reason, I say exploded, but it could be something a lot more subtle, something uncharacteristic of that person, that is a perfect opportunity to say, are you okay? And really listen. Practice those active listening, those cognitive skills of trying to understand and say, you know, can I can we talk? Do you need to talk? Can I do something for you? Can I help with some can I help you? Wine doesn't count, only water. Yes, 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 thank you. I do know. Slay's got to know that too. Slay. Wine does not count, only water. When Stay Healthy Bot says drink your water, I cannot drink wine. I must drink water. I'm at like 15 glasses of water today. That's awesome. That is a lot of water and an excellent, excellent amount. Um, but don't be afraid to engage the other person and say, "Look, I'm sorry that I uh, put you over the top, but can we talk about what led up to this? Do you want to talk? Would it help you to talk?" And then just be there to listen, because a lot of the time people will say, "Are you okay?" And even if I say, "I'm actually doing really terrible," they get this look on their face like, "Panic! Oh my God, I didn't really want to listen." Don't ask if you don't want to know, because I've started, if somebody asks me, uh, you know, how are you doing? And I say, actually, this has been a really bad day. I don't start talking about the bad day, but I am working on being more honest with them. They say, "Hey, how you doing?" Not great. And if they want to ask why, they can ask why. If not, I'm not trying to talk to them, but at least I'm not saying, "I'm fine. It's fine. I'm having a great day. How are you?" And in my mind going, "Nope, not a great day." So many rules and regulations. Yeah. So, what about you guys? Is there anything else that you want to talk about related to resilience? Anything you felt like maybe I left out or didn't cover well enough? Or maybe you've been in a situation where your resilience really played a part in helping you get through it. I will talk about one thing when um, my grandfather went missing. So I spent like 6 months, more really, but 6 months hardcore obsessing. Okay, on all the crime blogs, on everything, talking. We literally had family conference calls, okay, at a set time every week to talk through, doing all kinds of research, anything that I could try to figure out what happened. And 6 months after the fact, I was just like, oh my God, I need a distraction. I need something to help me. And so I turned back to gaming. I started playing RuneScape again. And it was one of those things that my first day back, somebody invited me, Ed Stark, for those who know Ed, invited me to join a clan. That clan was Ceres. Varys is going to tell me it's Cirrus. And so I joined that clan, and I have met some awesome people. A lot of them are here today, which is amazing. And so just finding that community, if I hadn't found that community, I wouldn't be here streaming today, I don't think. Because my sister was in Discord all the time, and so I joined Discord and started talking to her more. Met some really cool people through that community, and a lot of that, I really, I talk about community, but the reality is that the community was part of my resilience through that situation, and it still is. Um, it's still not easy for me to talk about a lot of the stuff that's happened, but with the oh yeah, oh absolutely. So my sister and I talk way more than we did before Papa went missing. And if that is one thing that I can say, a good thing that came out of that, like that is it for sure. We talk all the freaking time now, which is always good. And being in the Discord, being in the Discord with my sister especially is how I got into streaming as well, because I think at some point Alex And you and Nate were talking about streaming and how it was this big thing. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I got into it, and then I met the CCG team and became a part of that community, which is how I met Joe, and just like all of these different things that if I hadn't turned to a coping strategy, and that coping strategy being gaming, it really wouldn't have got me through as well as I feel like it did. And I'm still working through that. I'm still working through the loss and the not knowing and all of that's totally working on it in therapy. So it's not like that strategy for coping and that resilience that I relied on was the end all be all, but it definitely helped get me through some really dark days, which, as almost anyone can imagine, losing a grandfather and not knowing what happened, those create some really dark days. Not like we were enemies before or anything. No, we are not enemies as long as we are not living together. I like you, sis. I love you, sis. But no, we can't live together. That's very clear. We so moved out, both had kids like 6 months apart, moved back in together, and then it was just like, mm-mm, I can't, I can't do this with you. Same house, bad, bad, evil, bad, bad, absolutely. So it's one of those things that you got to know what coping strategy is going to work for you, and you got to know what's going to help you get through and increase that resilience. Because I know now that if I had another loved one, God forbid, go missing, um, I would get through it. I know that I would, and that's part of the knowing what happened in your past, and not just saying this is how I reacted last time. Boom, I'm going to react the same way. It's that this is what happened last time, this is what's happening this time, and we're going to build on that and react a little bit differently this time, and maybe it'll be a little bit better. Uh, I do need more water. So I hope that this has been a useful conversation, and I hope that it helped somebody a little bit. If it did, I'm super glad. We'll do one more disclaimer here that I am not a pro, so that Varys cannot sue me. And honestly, if you are needing to talk to somebody, if you don't even know where to start, please reach out. And I am here for you guys, not as a therapist, but to help you find one if you need someone to. Um, if you don't know what resources are available in your state, in your county, whatever, more than happy to research that for you. Clearly, I do research, for the stream all the time. So um, I am happy to do that. I'm going to go ahead and post my sources now in the Discord. Hey, Autumn's in here. Yay. I just saw you in the Discord, so let me post these sources. Okay. Oh shoot, those are going to make all the hang on. Oh no, don't do that. Oh, I forgot that I have to do the little symbols. Where are the little symbols? There they are. Otherwise it pops in the little preview. So that's kind of a bummer. But I absolutely appreciate you guys being here for that part of the conversation. I will switch over to a game here in just a minute because it's still pretty early. So I'll probably go back and play some Ark. Okay, there we go. Now it shouldn't do any of the previews. Good grief. Ah. Mafioso weeaboo. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's been a rough month for me. I try my best. I try to stay positive and picking new hobbies, exercising, but I still feel like my life is empty and stressful. I am so sorry to hear that, um, mafioso. Have you found someone to talk to? Do you have a therapist that you can Get a pocket owl. Yes, there you go. So we just talked about a whole bunch of different strategies for increasing your resilience, but if you are feeling like your life is really empty and your life is really stressful, I highly encourage you to find someone to talk to, find a professional if you can, if you have healthcare coverage. If not, I'm sure there are some free resources that you could reach out to as well. Um, and I would be happy to help you find those if you need someone too. But what kind of hobbies are you picking up? Trying to stay positive is always really good. So my husband used to call me Pollyanna all the time because I am a perpetual optimist, uh, or I guess was a perpetual optimist. Not so optimistic now after quite a few things happening to me, but I still try to find the positive in any situation, and it is not always hard. And even trying to find the positive sometimes is something that can be pretty stressful. So if you're feeling like your life is empty and stressful, that is one of the things that I talked about. Actually, let me add that card right now. So we said we were going to talk about maybe finding purpose. Finding purpose. I use Trello to plan a lot of the stuff that I do. Um, so that's what when I say adding a card, I'm adding that over to my brainstorming category there. Finding purpose. And what's the other part of it? Finding purpose in life. Okay, so I'm going to add that, and we'll probably not next week. I think I've got a couple of other things going for next week already, but we'll see. I'm absolutely positively 100% positive that my cup is flawed because it doesn't have any more alcohol in it. So I said that my husband would call me Pollyanna, but he is not necessarily a pessimist, but very much a realist. And so I used to joke that I see the glass as half full, if not more full. He sees the glass as like not only is it half empty, but it's also cracked and maybe it has poison in it. So I don't feel like I am at the level of a therapist. Mostly I've been going through swings of intense motivation and drive, but I'm also getting parts in which my motivation has just stopped. I'm gonna move this over. I'm sorry, hang on a second. I think it's because I don't have any friends in real life. All of my hobbies have just been me doing it on my own. My hobbies are learning a new language, instrument playing, and drawing. Okay, we talked about social connections last week, week before. Can't quite remember. But one of the things about social connections is that they don't have to be people, flesh and blood, right in front of you. If you can find somebody to connect to online, that is a real friend. Like, so you see the other names in this chat. You see Fiona, you see Snow, you see Have, you see Varys. I'm not going to count Laws because she's my sister, so I actually do get to see her IRL. I've never met any of these people, and they are honestly like some of the best friends that I have. So that connection, and they don't have to say that I am one of the best friends that they have because that is not the point. But that connection that I feel to them is what helps me feel connected and get the benefits of feeling connected. I did post sources for that social connections stream, and you know what? I might even still have. Aha, aha. Wait, 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 wait. Okay, open. I have. This is the kind of infographic that I like to include in these talks. All right, so this is the social connections stream that I was talking about. Oh, my chair is sinking. There you go. Oh, no, it's sinking again. Sorry. So, we talked about social connections a couple of weeks ago, and the only thing a social connection is the subjective experience of feeling close to and a sense of belongingness with others. So, if you can find an online community that you connect with, that you feel like you can connect with, maybe it's learning a new language, maybe it's instruments, maybe it's a drawing community, that you can talk to people online. It doesn't have to be in person. There's all sorts of benefits that you can reap from that, including like an improved immune system. That is so amazing that Just feeling connected to another person can improve your immunity. Like that's nuts. You get higher self-esteem, higher empathy, better emotional regulation skills, which I feel like would be a good thing. Um, a good thing if you're feeling unmotivated, getting those emotion regulation skills that could really help as well. Lower rates of anxiety and depression, which I can vouch for if I'm having a bad day and I reach out to somebody, whether it's my sister or Fee or anybody, or my therapist even. You know, it's one of those things that can really help. And then that social connection creates a positive feedback loop of this social, emotional, physical well-being. There are lots of downsides if you don't have any, and a lot of people, and this is incredible to me. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger. Whoa. Okay. Maybe that was too big. This is amazing to me. So, in 2004, however long ago, and they did this in the 80s too, and it was much lower. So, I think in the 80s, it was Americans felt like they had three people they could reach out for, right? In 2004, 25% of Americans claim that they have no one to share a personal problem with. That means if you're having a bad day, you have nobody to pick up the phone, you have nobody to type to, you have no one to talk to, which is such a problem. And I hope that everyone here feels like they can join a community, whether it's CCG, which if you join CCG in Discord, be prepared for a lot of sarcasm, okay? But if you can find another one, find another community, and you're welcome to join CCG's community if you want for the awesome people in there. Um, it's something that you can really get the benefits of having at least one person to join. And here's that as long as you feel connected to others on the inside, you get that benefit of being connected. They're watching you. They clearly can't be very against sarcasm. Word. And I'll say also, and then I'll catch up on chat here in just a minute. But you said you don't feel like you're to the level of a therapist. I really honestly feel like almost everyone could benefit from having a good therapist. And I say that as someone who delayed going to a therapist for a really long time because I didn't feel like my problems were big enough to talk to a therapist about. Having started going to my current therapist, I cannot preach the benefits enough. Like, just some of the things that she has talked to me about in general have helped me so much that I would highly encourage, even if you just feel like you need a friend to talk to. Like, that's what therapy is for. It's just to talk, to have somebody actually listen to you and to provide you some feedback, if possible, to help you work through anything. Evie, thank you so much for that host, honey. How are you doing? Can I get a shout out for Evie Winters, please? Um, but yeah, Mafioso, if you, I would encourage you, highly encourage you, that even if you feel like you're not to the level of needing a therapist, that if you want somebody to talk to, get yourself a good one because it's really helpful. I don't see the glass as half empty or half full. I see the bottle is too far away. That's too funny. Real quick, everybody who's here with Evie, hello. I am MommaFoxFire. Let me switch over also to this. I'm MommaFoxFire. I am part of the Couch Co-op Gaming stream team. Tonight I'm doing a mental health topic Monday, and happy to have you here. We have been talking about um, resilience as it relates to mental health, and if you are interested in an overview, any of the sources that I use, please join the CCG Discord. I post everything there. And I am so happy to have you here. I am a variety streamer. We'll be getting into a game here in just a little bit, thinking about playing Ark, but trying to catch up a little bit on the chat. Oh, you were playing Overwatch. Girl, yes. I have not played that game, but I love watching you play it. I understand those feels a lot. I saw a therapist for a bit. It really helped having someone validate my feelings. Ah, yes, Fee. I should have just read your comment. Validate my feelings and experiences and advocate for me to me. That is so important. For real. Absolutely. Snow. I'd rather have 1K internet friends than one in real life friend, but that's just me. If you can keep up with 1,000 people, like, and for real count them as a friend, you are way better than me. I cannot keep up with 1,000 people, but I've got, 25, 50 people that I really count as true friends. And they're totally online. So you don't have to have a mental illness or anything severe to see a therapist for. Absolutely. Not at all. See, I should have just let you guys do all the talking. Why didn't I just let you do all the talking? Honestly. Just helps for an objective observer to validate you and support you. Yep, absolutely. We did play by post D&D for a while. Hey, there you go. I still have friends from that server that check out on me for sure. See, this is awesome. The best people that keep me happy and feel like a kid are the friends in my Discord server. Right? I want more connection in real life, someone I can hang out with in flesh and blood. Hate self-diagnosis, but all through my life, I just dealt with my problems on my own. More of an extrovert. It's just that I'm shy to reach out to people because I feel weak, that I'm burdening them with my problems when they have problems that they have to deal with. And, the whole thing about talking to people and being honest with them, and the thing about if they say, hey, how's your day, and you respond with, I'm actually doing really terrible, is to allow them that space to say, to kind of respond and say, do I want to talk about this or not? Do I want to continue down this path or not? um, and if you really need to talk to somebody about it, and you reach out to them and say, you know what, hey Fee, do you have the mental capacity for me to just complain and vent for a little bit? I really need to get some stuff off my chest. And then wait for them to respond. Like, don't unload on them if you think that they're not going to have the time, or if they're not going to be able to listen or want to listen. Give them the opportunity to say no without feeling bad about it. Fee, see? Yes, see? There you go. But if if Fee were to say that to me, "Hey, Mama, do you have the mental capacity to just handle some of my shit right now if I throw it at you and just listen?" I'm almost always going to be like, "Yes." But there might be days where I'm going, I really just don't have mental capacity to deal with anybody else's stuff. Those days are going to be few and far between for me, but you got to give them the option to say no. And I totally understand the being an extrovert, but not feeling comfortable approaching someone at first, because that's me. Like, once I get to know somebody, I'm all there. Like, I am outgoing. I am here to talk. You want to go do something, I will go do something with you. But if I don't know you, and in situations like PAX South, which I just came from, right? It is so hard to meet people. I went to the Stream Texas meetup and I met a few people and they were fantastic. But it was so hard for me to even just sit down next to somebody and say, "Hey, how are you?" and introduce myself and say, "Who are you? What can we connect on? What do we have in common?" It's better to go to the therapist a little before you feel like you need to, so you can possibly stem the tide before the entire dam bursts. Yes, that's what we were talking about with the getting to that point, right? So, Faye says, my response to not wanting to burden people with your problems is to think about your life like a house. You might not want to invite people over if your house is kind of messy. Yeah, but it's still okay to invite people in. Same with your mental health. It's okay to invite people in. Absolutely. If they show up on your doorstep and your house is a little bit messy, you can still ask them to come in. But maybe you don't reach out to them and say, hey, do you want to talk? Do you want to come over? Kind of thing. So, yeah. If you try therapy and you don't like your therapist, you can switch to another one. Yes. I saw a therapist before who wasn't I felt like she wasn't always paying attention. And my takeaway from that was to say, okay, well, I'm just not going to go to a therapist anymore because this isn't helping. And what my takeaway should have been was, I need a different therapist, And now I've got a great therapist. I love her to death. Um, and so it's one of those things that, don't feel bad about getting the support that you need in the way that you need it, for sure. Okay, I'm catching up. I swear I'm catching up. I want to keep on smiling. I always say I have a great day and treat others wonderfully even when I have a horrible day. It's just that I have been doing that all my life and it builds up to the point where I just want to cry. I'm shy about showing my vulnerable side. Yep. Yep. Been there. Totally been there. And like I said earlier, I've been working on if somebody says, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm trying to be a little more honest without forcing them into conversation, to allow that connection to happen if they want it to, but also to say like, if you are really interested in how I'm doing, I'm gonna tell you. And I might not even be willing to talk about the details, but if somebody comes up to me at work and says, "Hey, how's it going?" and I say, "I'm not having a great day today." "Oh my gosh, what's wrong?" I don't really want to talk about it. I just don't feel like lying to anyone. Like, this hasn't been a great mental health day. I just don't want to pile on by faking, kind of thing, which is really hard to do, especially when I'm so used to saying, "My day's great. How was yours?" You know? But also, I don't ask how was yours if I don't have the mental capacity to listen if they say they're having a terrible day. That's another part of that. I'm also very shy, so showing my vulnerable side. I think a lot of people are, even with people who I'm close to. But I found it really easy to open up with a therapist and use them to practice opening up to others. Absolutely. Well, a therapist is a professional, right? That's what they're there for. So there's a little bit of trust built in with that. And if you feel like someone is consistently advocating for you, for your mental health, it becomes a lot easier to just talk. I have friends I've known for the majority of my life that I'm not comfortable to be vulnerable with. Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yes, because it's his job. Okay, look, I just need to read all of the comments before I respond to them, apparently. It's his job. He's not going to blow me off, and if he does, it's professional and not personal. Yep. And I'll just go find another one. Yes, 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 yes. See, I'm not even comfortable being vulnerable with my parents. I've known them my whole life, right? There you go. Hey, that's true. Some people haven't. 100% true. Okay. But mafioso, I will just emphasize that we are a community. We try to provide a warm, welcoming, safe space, but we're not professionals. And I highly, highly encourage you to seek a professional to talk through some of this stuff, because what a professional can do that a community cannot is give you specific strategies. Thank you, Fee. Give you specific strategies to say, here is what you should do. Where what I can do is say, here is what I have done. And what the community can do is say, here's how I've experienced that. Rocker, what's up? Wait, what is this little thing? Nosy High? What is that? It's cute. Oh, it's somebody's. Oh, it's the little dude. That's really cute. Rocker, how are you doing? We're talking about resilience. We are talking about resilience and its effect on mental health. It's a toad from Super Mario. Yeah, I clicked on it. I had to click on it to really see it, but I like it. Same, my parents don't know the majority of my issues, and that's fine. We are playing games soon, I swear. Um, it's fine that your parents don't know your issues. Like, that is a very personal choice who to share that with. And you really shouldn't do that unless you're comfortable doing that. It goes back to, if you're not comfortable with doing that, then don't. It's that simple. If you are comfortable doing it, if you are comfortable sharing and spreading that, a, a little bit of just spreading the awareness and the openness to talking about, um, mental health, then that is something that can improve the world, honestly. Heater is sort of on the fritz. Ooh, that's not good. Like, our heater could be on the fritz right now and it would be fine, but you're in a cold place. I don't, I don't like that. I don't feel like that's good. We got sidetracked. Yes, not a bad sidetrack. No, please don't ever feel like you are sidetracking me in a bad way, even if I'm playing a game. Like, maybe I need to have that as a command also. You are never interrupting, okay? I want anyone to bring up anything that they feel like they want to talk about. If I can respond to it, then great. If not, then that's okay too. If I don't have a response, at least I'm here to listen. Sidetrack. That's what I need. I do. I need a sidetrack command. Heater in Texas sounds like overkill. Yes, for sure. Sometimes. We also have a giant ass fireplace that we haven't used yet, so. Laughing is a double-edged sword for me. It's a coping mechanism, but it makes others happy, so I keep on doing it. Wait, wait, wait. Okay. No, no. There is there are studies on laughter that even if you are faking laughter, even if you are faking a smile, that it actually has positive. You know what? I'm going to add a card. Laughter as medicine. Add a card. I will do the research on that because I freaking love the research on laughter as medicine. Even if you are faking it, even if it's not real, even if you're forcing it, even if you're laughing, like it doesn't even matter what you're laughing at. You could be laughing at a fly sitting on a cat's nose. That's a little weird. Why did I say that? Okay, whatever. Um, or you could be laughing at something super funny on the internet. You could be laughing at a joke somebody told. You could be laughing at somebody doing some sort of jackass trick and falling off their bike, right? Doesn't matter what you're laughing at. You could just be laughing because someone else in proximity to you is laughing. You still get the same benefits. It's like the social connections. It's like the social connections that if you feel like you are connected, you get the benefits from it. It's almost the same. She sidetracks herself on the regular word. It's just kind of how it goes. Like that is my life. I, I sidetrack myself all the time. I know the research. Fun fact: it actually boosts your immune system cells, specifically the natural killer cells. See, yeah. I mean, laughing to make others happy is still laughing. I feel like. Um, but then if you come away from a laughing bout and it makes you feel bad, then I really think that's something that you could work through in therapy. Like I think that a therapist could really help you even if you don't feel like you're to that point yet. Like I don't even think there is a point. At what point does anyone need a therapist? When you're born, when you're about to die. I mean, there's that spectrum is wide ranging and it varies from person to person. Texans bring a new meaning to the term. Some like it hot. Ooh, it does get pretty hot here. That is true. That is true. I was hatched with a therapist. Oh Lord, that's pretty good. Okay, all right. We are gonna get into a game, but I appreciate you guys being a part of this talk. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you did too. And I've got a couple of good, um, couple of good new topics to talk about in the future, which is awesome. And if you're interested, like I said, in the sources, please go join the CCG Discord. I did post them there. Fee had a good suggestion to have a channel dedicated to that, so I will probably get that added. I'll kind of get the buy-in and then get that added to the Discord so that those sources are always there in one place and you don't have to search for them. Thank you so much for that follow, Mafioso. I appreciate it. And thank you for the Discord plug fee. I appreciate that as well.